Welcome to the A Train Show. And now here's your host, the A Train, Arlington Lane.
Oh, welcome to this edition of the A Train Show, the A Train Arlington Lane. Always something going on here at the A Train Show. Um, folks, man, I've missed y'all so much. Usually it will be a WWE football Monday, but I got a lot that I kind of want to discuss. Pastor will not be in on the show today, so just think of him uh, in the during this time period. Personal stuff kind of came up, so I want to make sure that y'all show him some love when you can. Things are okay at the moment, so um, I'm going to be getting updates from him throughout. We'll see what's going on, and so definitely in my heart right now, and definitely thinking about you, sir. So just let you know up front. Today is a sports Monday here at the A Train Show. And yeah, it's been a lot going on. Like, I really don't know where to begin because there's so much. Like, of course, we had the World Series happen. Thank goodness for the Dodgers knocking off the Yankees 4-1. So I'm big, big on that. Thank you. Um, It was for the series itself. Granted, it was 5 games. I did pick them to win in 6, but they chose to do it in an extra game. And to be sweeter, to do it in Yankee Stadium was even more electric. So, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers. My couple of my favorite players, Tommy Edman and Jack Flaherty, of course, Shohei Ohtani, getting the job done, especially the series MVP himself, Freddie Freeman, who was able to become the first player. He was the first player in Major League history to hit a home run in the first 4 World Series games, and he broke the record for most consecutive home runs, consecutive games with the home run. That's the stat right there with 6, and he now holds that record as well. So congratulations to the Dodgers. And one of the stories out of that was um, Juan Soto potentially leaving the New York Yankees and finding another squad, and the money that's going to be thrown in his face is going to be interesting. They talking about similar deals as what Shohei Ohtani has been receiving. And that's crazy as it is, just to think about how much money they were willing to give this young star. Granted, he has been to a couple of World Series already. Um, he has one already with the Nationals that they were able to get in 2019, and yeah, he's 26 years of age, so a big payday is coming. It's just who's going to be the right team for him to nab that type of to nab this star, and who's going to pay the most, or who's going to give the best contract, is I should say, because it's not always about the money. It's always about the winning situation as well, because you can throw a lot of money at a player, but also it also means that you may not have enough around him to benefit and to get dubs, because that's all he really wants to take at this point. All right. Um, Seeing what's been going on in the NFL, I want to touch a bit about that. I was going to touch WWE, but I may not do it today because my partner in crime, like I said, is not with me. Um, what's going on, Wyatt? Good seeing you, buddy. Um, Gotta talk about some things that's going on in the NFL. I will say this, that I was going to mess with them, but I gotta say right now the Dallas Cowboys is a straight up mess, and I think everybody knows it. And uh, again, it's gonna come out. I'm great, Wyatt. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, brother. Um, One of the things that needs to definitely be done. And people are already yelling for fire Mike McCarthy, but the person that has to be removed from this equation, it has to be the Jones family. That means Stephen and Jerry, or Jerry and Stephen in this case. Got to remove themselves from this, man, because it's not helping. And you seeing Dak Prescott saying that we effing suck, but what are you going to do about that to change the dynamic of what's going on so far with this organization? All that has to change, and unless that occurs, uh, I don't see this team going any further than where it is right now. You can always, folks, you can follow us on X. You can check me out right now on YouTube and on Facebook at facebook.com/Fuel Sports Network 25. That's where we are right now as we speaking. Um, and make sure that you join in on the conversation at hand. All right. Join me. All right. Let's see. So far so good, Sandy. I'm staying dry. I'm out of it. I don't want to go out into the elements right now, but I'm good. I'm good right now. Um I was talking about with the NFL, with the Dallas Cowboys and stuff. Listen, the Cowboys, they always gonna dominate the headlines. But can I talk a little bit about one Derrick Henry for the Baltimore Ravens, and how him at 30 is better than he was his first 9 years in the league? Just about. It's not there just yet. Um, right now, if he remains healthy, we at the halfway point of the season. He's already over 1,000 yards rushing, and I would love to see him do it in the next 5 games. Listen, hear me out. Hear me out. I would rather him do it. It was, Sandy. I would rather him break the 2,000 yard mark 5 games from now. The reason why I say that is because OJ Simpson is the only rusher, the late OJ Simpson is the only rusher in NFL history to get 2,000 yards in 14 games. All right, only one. And of course, Eric Dickerson at 2105, 16 games. And I think, what was that? Adrian Peterson got, somebody was 8 yards short of the record. I think it was Peterson. And let's see if I'm looking at the rushing yards in a season records. If they show it, yeah, it says it is 25. Yeah, Adrian Peterson was at 2,097. There it is. Derrick Henry has a 2,000 yard season under his belt as well. If you give me a second, I'll pull it up. Share, boom, right there. Okay, here we are. You can barely see it, but I'm gonna see if I can. These are the guys with 2,000 yards in an NFL season. All right, and this is courtesy of Pro Football Reference. There you see it: Dickerson, Peterson, Lewis, Sanders, Henry, Terrell Davis, Chris Johnson, and OJ Simpson. All right. Listen, right now I'm not really worried about Jake Bates missing field goals. Detroit is the best. Is still is the best team in the NFC. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Um, it didn't help my fantasy one bit. I'll tell you that much. Him missing field goals, but as we sitting here on November the 4th, hey, make sure if you haven't voted, make sure you go out and vote, especially on tomorrow. All right, want to throw that out there. But as you see the list, Derrick Henry has a 2,000 yard season. He could be, folks, the first and only player to do it twice. Now that's amazing. And then for a guy to do this at the age of 30, when many running backs are considered over the hill, they're done, they're finished. Their legs are gone because running backs, I think, average is what 3-4 years in the NFL, and for the miles that Derrick Henry has put in this league, for him to do that twice would be phenomenal all by itself. Twice. If that does happen, ladies and gentlemen, and then he'll be the only player to do it for two different teams. Because look at the list. You see the list? There's only 8 men that have done it. Granted, one has done it in only 14 games, which is still considered, in my opinion, it's still the record because he did it in 14 games. When somebody rushes it in 14 games, then they're taking over O.J. Simpson's record. So if you can do it in 14 games, then you got my vote. You got my vote. Yeah, sorry about that. But spam callers all they getting in as much as possible now. It's getting out of control. But as you see the list, Derrick Henry is on a path of history right now. As long as he stay healthy, that man's going to have 2 records for sure. And if he can break the rushing record, that would even be bigger. And to sit here and say that Baltimore is much better with him, that's a given because they needed that type of back. You know, they haven't had a back like that since Jamal Lewis, who is on this list, as you can see right there. That's phenomenal all by itself. And I would love to see Derrick Henry on this list and to top it off with a Super Bowl win. Now, with that being said, everybody knows what's going on with the Chiefs and how everything is just going according to plan. And I talked to a friend of mine, and my friend really told me, he told me this the other day, that he really believes that the Chiefs are going to go 20-0. And you say 20-0, A-Train, yes. 20-0 means you have to go 17-0 in the season, and then you have to win because you're going to get a playoff bye if you have a record like that. If you completely have a mark of sorts, then there's no way. There's no stinking way you're going to get a playoff. You get you get the bye, and then you have to wait to the divisional rounds, right? So at this rate, them getting that 20-0 is possible. However, there are a couple of teams that they can run into. I'm not going to say the Bills, but the Ravens with Derrick Henry has a greater chance than them without it. I think that this go around, because everybody's been on Lamar Jackson's case about how he hasn't been able to get across plateau, getting the team to the Super Bowl, getting to the AFC Championship game. That has been the big issue so far with him, is him leading the team and them getting there. And so that's going to be the primary question for that squad there. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out as we get into the second half of the season. All right, going to take a time out. Going to come right back with more of the A-Train Show. Talk a bit more sports with you guys. Hey, happy Women's College Basketball Day. Those that are tuning in right now, the game I have behind me that you cannot see is the game in Paris between Ole Miss and the University of Southern California. All right, so stay close. We'll be back. More of the A-Train Show. Right after this, you're checking in on Fuel Sports Network and FuelSportsNetwork.com. Back on this edition of the A Train Show, the A Train Arlington Lane. Hey, folks, make sure that you go today. You can check out our wonderful sponsors at Philip Johnson Salon and Spa, McDougal Bats, Royal Retros, Just Me Jerky, Duppy Energy Powder. Thank you so much. Make sure that you go and check us out on Fuel Sportsnet on Twitter, as my good friend the Big Sarge call it, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Check us out at our website, fuelsportsnetwork.com. If you have a question, you can always check it. With us, got a question that you want to place on the show, admin at fuelsportsnetwork.com. Yep. Some comments just rolled in. I think finally was the Go Women's basketball stuff. Football is not a one-on-one boxing match. Yeah, I kind of know that. Thanks, man. And Go Women. All right. Continuing on with the conversation, I'm gonna touch a little bit on some college basketball with the women's side in a little bit, because there's some things that I'm looking forward to seeing with two of my favorite players in women's college basketball. I love them both, and I'm looking forward to seeing some great action and a team in particular, and see if they can continue on their dominant run of another national championship like they did last season. Meaning the University of South Carolina. And shout out to Don Staley and the work that she's been doing there at that university. My goodness. All right. I got to touch a bit on my friend Big Sarge's team, the Houston Texans. I want to touch on them because right now they are the worst 6-3 team in football. And you're like, they're 6-3, so they should be fine. They should be good, but they're not. They're trash. Granted, they lead the AFC South right now by 2 games. There has been, from the games that I have seen with them, I can't catch every game, but these next 3 games are all game of the week, national televised. The entire country is going to see them. Thursday, they were on Amazon. Sunday coming up, they're going to be on NBC. The following week against the Cowboys, they're playing on ESPN or ABC Monday night. So everybody's going to get a chance to see them. And the Thursday night game against the Jets, they look so god awful. It's not even funny. The problems that they have right now, they don't have. You could say they have a dynamic receiver in Tank Dell, but that's it. They don't really have a lot going on with the wide receiver core because you lost your 2 best ones in Nico Collins and with Stephon Diggs being out with his torn ACL. But then you got Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon coming over. That's the running back that they've been needing for a long time. And it gives that Arian Foster, reminds me a bit of Arian Foster when he played. Granted, they were on a lot of bad teams or whatever. I get that. But that's that dynamic running back that they need. All right. Hey, man, listen. I like surprises from time to time. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get one today, but hey, things can happen at any given moment here on the A Train Show. I'm just saying as it is, man. So, without further ado, I can switch it up at any given moment. You never know. I'll bring my guy in. Pastor Bailey's in the house.
What up?
How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm good, man.
How's everything holding up, sir?
Everything is holding. Everything is holding. Out here trying to do this work, Takes work to make the work. We preparing for this election tomorrow, so
okay.
Got to try to take care of the house, and baby girl got sick in school, so I had to try to jump up here and get her to the ER. But her mama showed up, so it gave me a little time to jump in and jump on. What's going on, man?
What's going on, sir? Okay, good to know that everything is good. As you see, I got the fan jumps in. Pastor's in the house.
I'm here.
They knew the music.
Sabrina, what's up?
So I was just touching in a bit about the NFL. I touched on your team before you even got here, so you don't even have to hear it. Don't have to go back and listen.
I don't even know why y'all still talk about that foolishness, man. We knew We knew
Listen,
Dallas was gonna be sucky before the season started. We knew it.
the team, the team I'm after is in the city that you're in, Houston. I'm after them right now. I'm,
They looked pretty bad this last game, dude. I was kind
yes,
of shocked at. I was
and
shocked at my boy CJ.
here's the thing though. The thing with this team is that they have all the nucleus of having a contending team. They just everything is still not being put together. Like the O line is garbage, and they have said it themselves that the O line is garbage. And then you have terrible secondary play because your front seven is great. They've been doing good. The secondary has not been. And you have the receiver right now with Tank Dell. You know, you're out with two receivers now. And then you got Joe Mixon in the backfield who's been doing phenomenal. And it's like
Yeah,
right now, you got to keep CJ Stroud standing. That's going to be the biggest ploy here.
yeah,
Got to keep them
yeah,
standing, man. They're not
yeah.
these. Look, you got your boys on the 18th of this month.
That ain't no challenge.
You
Them
think
boys
not?
ain't.
Oh, don't do that.
Oh, heck no. Heck no.
Don't do that.
Let me tell you
Don't do that.
something. Y'all, this is a whole, we seen this fiasco coming way in preseason when they didn't make no moves to get nobody, no extra players to help. They did not sign the key players that they needed until game one of the regular season. So there's no way you can expect this team to be as effective as they once were when they're making ineffective decisions concerning the team and the nucleus. Now all of a sudden you want to talk about we got our hand in the meal. In the meal of what? Because you ain't eating nothing. Go to sleep. Go to sleep, man. You should have been in the meal a long time ago. Go to sleep. It's time to go to sleep. Listen,
Okay.
go on and bypass getting out of the season this year. Go and let it be on, let the season be over. Let's kind of start rebuilding and thinking about rebuilding and try to get us a new coach, get us a new GM. We just need a new everything, just new, all things new, like Houston did, just new everything. But
And listen,
enough of that.
listen, Andrew. I hear what you're saying, brother. You said they still make the playoffs. How far they'll make it will be another story. That's true. It seemed like it's going to
Agreed.
be a one and done. And with them, and this is a team that's I get it, they're a young team, but my biggest beef is this O line. That's my biggest beef. That's it. It's the O line. Why
Hold
come
on, man.
you have an all pro that can't sit still, and he's been in the game for over 10 plus years. You can't sit
And them
still and play
penalties,
ball.
man. Them penalties are horrible.
And
I'm like,
exactly,
what are y'all doing? Yeah,
got to clean them
yeah,
up. Got to clean them
yeah,
up.
yeah.
And here you got the guy with Miko. And my biggest issue is Bobby Slowick's conservative play calling. That's been my biggest
Yeah,
mo with them.
yeah,
Why are you getting conservative? You're supposed to be a dynamic offense. You're supposed to be high powered. You're supposed to be. But I get it. You lost a couple of weapons, so you had to adjust. But
right,
now you're
right.
now a run first team more than you are a pass team. You got to find a way to get CJ Stroud more time in the pocket so that way he can utilize even the receivers so they can step up.
Facts,
That's
facts.
just my thing with that. All right. Um,
Agreed.
I'm done with that. I'm done with that for now because, like I said, it's Sports Monday, and so we're gonna talk about what we talk about all the time
On the regular. Yeah,
on
let's
the
get it.
regular. Um, Crown Jewel was yesterday, well, the other day, Saturday, and
Yep.
it was mid.
What you think?
It was
What you think,
mid.
man?
It was
What you
mid.
think?
MID. Mid. It was mid. Had me watch this garbage, man. I'm telling you, man. Was mid, man. Like I couldn't even get down with it. Listen, I get the in the first match.
what was mid for you? What was mid for you, brother?
Just everything was predictable, man. Like you knew
It
everything
was
that was gonna go
predictable.
down,
Now
man.
I knew it was predictable, but
They had
I mean
nothing
the sh-
that excited me. Nothing. Not
I
even
mean the show was the show though. It was the show. It was predictable. Now I agree. It was predictable. And remember, I told you that. I said, bro, it's gonna be predictable. However, it did produce a little something, something.
listen. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about that.
I think they calling my baby. I gotta roll. Give me a
You
second.
got to roll.
I'll
Okay.
be back in. I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay. Let me get it back. He'll be back in a moment. Crown Jewel, man. The whole card was mid. Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to take a quick break here. Come right back. All right, because I want to discuss that in detail. I'm going to try to give myself 15 minutes with that. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. But whole thing with the NFL, some things got to change when it comes to that Houston Texans team. Just know that. All right, back in less than a minute. We're back with more of the A-Train Show right after this. Halfway point of the A-Train Show, the A-Train Arlington Lane, the A-Train here. Like I said, 1/2 is already done. If he gets back in, good Reverend Doctor, I'm gonna explain why Crown Jewel was so mid to me. There was very predictable outcomes. Granted, I hate to even say this on the show, he predicted that Sami Zayn was going to be involved. He predicted that. He also predicted, and I don't care what Spurge, if you follow Spurge, he says the same stuff. All right, and folks, make sure that you tune in to all of our great programs, even our podcasts, with our At the Park, with the St. Louis City SC, Talking Sports on the Bleachers as well, with Don Glenn, and 2 for 3 Cardinal Podcast. You make sure you tune into that right here on FuelSportsNetwork.com. But the mid about it was it just did not have any excitement factor to me. Like, the only thing that probably was the most exciting thing during the pay-per-view, the PLE, or whatever you want to call it, pay-per-view, was the fact that Sami Zayn came out. He was going to look like he was going to side with Solo Sikoa and the new bloodline. And when he didn't, and they had the big fight, Sami Zayn kicked Roman Reigns. That was it. But that was also a predictable outcome, because if you look at that, it just goes to show you that Sami Zayn does not belong in the original bloodline. And I hate if they're going with this 4-on-4 stuff, leave Sami out of it. This ain't his fight. But you know that ain't going to happen. You know that's not going to happen whatsoever. You know that ain't happening. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
This is the Fuel Sports Network.
Behold the King of Kings.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
I'm dropping the hammer.
No, you're not.
And that's the bottom line.
Here, have a quarter, make a phone call.
I have wrestled with an alligator.
What?
I done tussled with a whale.
What?
I done handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in jail.
Funky butt loving.
Did he say funky butt loving?
That's no crying. That's There's no crying in baseball.
Let the big dog eat.
Woo! 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 Woo!
All right.
You know, I never get tired of that.
Derek King is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. He made
I
his
never
way
get
in.
tired of that.
Okay, you're the perfect guy. Did you get a chance to see Crown Jewel?
I did.
And please tell me you feel the same way I feel about that pay-per-view. That it wasn't exciting to me. It didn't excite.
Here's my takeaway from that pay-per-view. It felt empty to me. From my perspective, I felt that they missed several opportunities to sell multiple storylines and to get people to buy into the product that they're trying to sell.
Right.
It became more about trying to just fill a spot than it did about telling a story or furthering that program or that story. It just felt to me like, let's stop here at SmackDown. Let's do this pay-per-view. And then let's pretend like all of that stuff didn't happen. And then we'll move on to Raw and, go from there. That's what it felt like to me.
And when you look at that, okay, so they had to do a program with Cody Rhodes and Gunther. Listen, I want y'all to understand all the predictable outcomes. Tag teams is going to be the same. The champion was going to be the same, because you got to have one on Raw side, one on SmackDown side, okay? There was no way it was going to be twice. And both of those were very silly outcomes, in my opinion. And the reason why I say that, there's no way Liv Morgan should have beaten Nia Jax. There's no way, honestly, if you really look between the two of them, no way Cody should have beat Gunther. But the problem is, Cody is your top guy. You don't put your top guy in WWE and he loses to the world heavyweight champion. You don't do that. If Gunther was the guy, Gunther wins easily. You could have smashed him in 10 minutes, 5 minutes at that. It wouldn't have been much of a match. But because Cody's the top guy, they had to make sure that he was the winner here. He took a brutal beat down, and granted, Gunther gave him his respect or whatever after it was over, and they went on about their business. They did that big freaking celebration about that silly championship, which I already think was silly from the get-go, because it's not like they're going to be able to carry the championship, because they don't even know if they're going to be champion by next year, by the time it comes back around. And I kid you not, Derek, I think Triple H cannot wait till that partnership is over.
I can't help but agree. Again, I think that it had more to do with that championship belt that they made. I just really feel like that's more of appeasing the Saudi government than it has anything to do with telling any real stories or furthering the product whatsoever. You can clearly tell that a lot of the talent are not happy about that arrangement. They've made it very clear. Again, people can feel the way they want to, politically, whatever the deal is. But when you work for an organization and the organization tells you this is what we're going to go do, well, then you go do it. Otherwise, you're going to be out of a job. That's just the way it works. That's the way it's always worked. I don't agree with a lot of things that my past employers who signed my paychecks that they wanted to do, but I did it because I wanted a paycheck. And when it got to a point where I didn't feel that I was willing to do that anymore, I had to make a decision. Do I continue to keep doing this to get the paycheck, like a lot of the talent in WWE are doing? Or do I make my decision to go another direction? But when this deal is to a point where they can back out, I really truly feel that this was purely and I'm going to say this, and I know you're going to lose your mind. This deal was purely a Vince McMahon deal to save his own ass. That's all it was. That's all it was.
I was going to say the same thing. You pretty much took the words out of my mouth, literally.
Vince McMahon, towards the end of his tenure as chairman of the WWE, knew his days were numbered. He was getting in trouble.
Yep.
And he knew, man, what do I have to do to save my own skin, put myself in a position to where they can't get rid of me because I have my tentacles into everything.
Right.
And boy,
so, yeah.
Wouldn't you know who won the pony, as Jim Cornette would say. But Vince McMahon is now creating another entertainment organization. Hush, hush. Through the grapevine, as they say.
Oh, no, it ain't hush, hush when Deadline gets a hold of it. When Deadline gets a hold of that type of stuff, that means, it's known now. Like, I've been saying that for a while.
He has now, I don't remember if it's purchased or leased ground in Santa Monica and has actually gotten studios and everything else. He's gotten it all lined up. This isn't a joke. This isn't a maybe. He has spent millions upon millions of dollars to already start to further this process and purchase these grounds. It's already happening.
There he is. He's back again. Okay, so we touching on a bit on Crown Jewel.
D-King.
The purpose of Crown Jewel, why we're not a big fans of Crown Jewel. It's basically the whole idea that Vince came up with to save his own skin. And we're sitting here like these matches themselves, they did not have any real meaning to them. Get it, the champion versus champion. That Survivor Series stuff that they were doing, and they doing it at Crown Jewel, right? And you get this weird belt that doesn't even leave the country. Don't even leave. It has to stay there. What's the point of having those? And then the matches themselves. Liv versus Nia Jax. Come on, man. You sit there, right? Look at that. You know doggone well Nia Jax squashes her in 5 minutes. Gunther, Cody Rhodes. If Gunther was the head of if top champion over all of WWE, he's not winning. He's losing that match. He's not losing that match. He won it in 5 minutes. It wouldn't be a purpose. However, Cody is the top guy in this case. So he had to look good to look at that match. Liv is the top, believe it or not, the top heel in the women's division. So, and you don't have her lose because you got to have a champion that does it on Raw and you got to have a champion that does it on SmackDown. So what's the point? What's the point of that?
I didn't think it was a point either. I didn't like the Crown Jewel belt and all of this stuff. I had no idea. I thought it was dumb. But again, we're talking about them trying to use marketable ideas to try to figure out how to infuse the next step. Remember, we're heading toward Netflix. So the bang that they thought was going to be the bang wasn't the bang, which was the Vince McMahon document. It wasn't the bang. So now you got to give something. And I think this Crown Jewel moment was a way of them trying to give something to try to give some momentum towards the Netflix moment. That's what I just picked from the whole thing, because the matches were not, to me, wasn't the best of matches. It was too much interference. The Randy and Kevin Owens had no great build up. Like it's everything was just one thing after another. So it didn't really give the layout of the flow of a normal PLE that you would normally see. Is what I felt.
Almost like they should have just never did the Kevin Owens match in the first place.
At all.
Like that could have stayed off the card. If that's the case, they could have just found each other in the locker rooms and just got the fighting. It didn't even have to go near the ring if that was going to be the case. Like,
and did you notice how they ended the match? Did you see how the match ended?
You talking about Kevin Owens jumping off?
But notice they never said anything after the match. They never said, "Hey, we'll be." They just went to commercial, almost as if one of them died or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it just went like it, and then they went to the next thing. So it's like we don't know. We know nothing. We know nothing. We don't know if one of them was really, really badly injured. We don't know if there was a concussion. We don't know. All we saw is Kevin Owens like wincing real bad, and then he goes straight to commercial, and then they talking about the next match. I'm going, well, what happened? Like we didn't even get it finished. We didn't get an ending. What's the point?
It's the two words that I would have loved to hear Michael Cole say, but he couldn't say it because of where he was at. Let me tell you, those two words are medical facility. You know they like to use that a lot during telecast. He never said it once. You know why? Because they were not going to do that there. Because also they have Raw tonight from Jedediah. It's already been taped and it's already happened. So we have that. So what's the point? So that match,
to me, that whole Orton Owens angle. This is me putting my business hat on. It reeks of they had nothing else. And this is something that they wanted to use at a Mania. This is something they wanted to use at a bigger PLE. They did not want to use it at Crown Jewel. But I think because the Goldberg thing fell through, and now Goldberg has announced his retirement match in 2025, I think that's what they had to have, something to fill that, 10, 15-minute slot.
Right.
To say, okay, hey, let's just drag out the entrances. Let's have these general managers come out and interfere, and let's do all these shenanigans. And then never let this match get started. Let's just get into a big old, Donnybrook, and all around the ring, and that people are flying everywhere. And then you just have the lead-in match just run a little long, and you have the lead-out match run a little long. That's all you got to do to make up the time. And you just throw that little bit in there. In the TV business and in the radio business, you call that an extra spot.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that's the vibe I get from that entire thing.
And that's the kind of the thing that I looked at when you see
that
type of match.
I agree.
And granted, the girls, they did their thing, the tags. But like it was mid. It was just not exciting to me. Listen, that I get, that's Crown Jewel and stuff, man, and they make a big deal of it because every freaking time, almost in every match or everything that happened, you kept hearing this is awesome. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, mute. Because I'm like,
there's a handful of chants in the wrestling business that I cannot stand. One of them is the one you just mentioned. The other one is "You deserve it." I cannot stand those two chants. This is awesome, and you deserve it.
It does get played out a lot.
I don't think that the performers need to hear that you deserve it. But, to each their own. I just don't like it. It's been played out. I've heard it too many times.
Like, I can understand if a guy that hasn't been to the mountaintop gets that you deserve it. But it's like, everybody don't need that.
No. You got a 20-year vet that's held the belt 12 times or something like that. Or he's been a multi-time champion. Grand Slam champion. He takes a year off and he comes back and, you deserve it. You deserve it. Dude, you've been in the biz for 2 decades. You earned it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
Honestly, if we're going to be
real with ourselves. I think the thing that bothered me some,
Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead, bro.
I was
No,
gonna
I was
say
just
I
gonna
was
say
gonna
I
make
think
a
the thing
joke
that
out of.
disturbed me the most.
I think we
No,
keep
go
cutting
ahead,
each other
bro.
off.
I'm sorry.
Who is it? Who is it? Who's going to do it? When? Where? Who's going to go? What? This is like a whole who's on first routine.
Okay.
Jesus, Murphy. I mean,
Hey, I was gonna
Mother
say.
Mary and Joseph. I mean, who's what?
I was just gonna
Huh?
say.
Who? Where?
Our truth is
How?
going to go down as one of the GOATs of wrestling because of his character, because of what he's able to do in the ring. Like, he's going to get his flowers, like, truly going to get his flowers, man, because not a lot of people give him the credit that he deserved for him, what he's able to do. A lot of times we looked at him as just a complete troll, but that was just character. And I seriously believe all of those things that he done in the ring was all his ideas. I swear, I really think that's all him. He said, this is what it's going to go out there. And he's like, you know what? Go for it. They go and they just go with it.
To me,
I think
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
You're good.
well, I was
You're
just gonna say, I think at the end of the day, for me, Crown Jewel had a lot of debacle. Like, what was the point of having what's her name come down with the case? Dog it! I just had a whole brain freeze. Tiffany Stratton come down with the briefcase for there to be no cash in when that was the promise. Now, normally when you hear promises like that, it's an almost guarantee that something amazing is going to happen with the case. Like, we could have saw any kind of turnover from that. We didn't see that. What was the point of the Roman Reigns looking at Jey Uso coming down the aisle and seeing him doing the yeet, and then he looking like, man, what is this? Come on, man. Like it's still about me. So a lot of the little bitty intricate parts of listening and paying attention to the whole entire flow, it didn't work out well. And I think throwing those kind of matches together only hurts the brand more than it does help, because the storylines get distorted over time. They get messed up. So you see one thing and then it messes up, because now I'm confused because KO attacked Cody. That's where his anger was supposed to be. Now I understand about what happened with Randy, but Randy went to KO trying to be the voice of reason, and then all of a sudden you got this whole turn on them. We automatically knew that KO was going to turn on both of them. However, what's the significance of it when the first attack was against Cody and then like it's nothing? So now you get out having this whole entire piece between Randy and KO, and it just doesn't give a validation to the whole moment of the whole movement of it. For me, I think it just missed in those areas.
It's a whole, tail wags the dog kind of situation where you have these storylines that they're coming out with. And again, Pastor nails it right on the head by stating what he stated. You have Kevin Owens do this whole angle with Cody Rhodes, attack him. That's supposed to, upset the apple cart with Randy and get him to kind of go the direction he goes. But then the whole thing just dies with Cody. Now Cody runs off and does this program with Gunther, and are they going to come back on Raw? And now all of a sudden they're gonna have fisticuffs.
And I think from what you're saying, sir, is because of the Crown Jewel thing that Triple H and them said with that champion versus champion thing. They had to stop that story and to put another program in there so that way that could come out with something.
But still, doesn't it
came out with nothing?
Doesn't it seem flat?
It did.
Doesn't it almost seem like it's running at 55 miles an hour, comes to a dead halt, stops, does a 90-degree angle, and then goes a separate direction? It just
but that's
doesn't
all
feel
of them, though.
like
That's
there's
all
anything that makes any sense.
But that's all of them. If you notice the storylines, they go from one thing to another. Like even with the YS6, it came out like, okay, Pop, we know they finna go in and just go and demolish everybody based on how they came out. Now it's almost kind of like, what are you doing? It's like they start a storyline, and then it's like in the middle of the storyline, it just the bottom of it just drops out. And I'm looking for a little more consistency with the storyline that pulls us into when we got pulled into the bloodline when Roman Reigns ran the whole thing, when the boys, the Usos, had the belts, when they ran the whole thing, they brought Solo in. I was pulled into that. Now it's almost kind of like, well, what are we doing next? It don't have a consistent flow of any of the storylines now. And I think that's the thing that kind of frustrates me most.
This is what this is exactly what I have in mind. They got this big table and it's got stories, papers, stories of how things are going, and it's big, massive. And so they just take a pack, use that, say, okay, this is what we're going to use for that story. Oh, that didn't work out, so we toss that one, then we just throw in another one and go through that. And you know, these people are doing rewrites on the dime as we speaking to you right now. They just finished Raw in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, because that's a tape show tonight. So there is no way you're gonna sit here and tell me that what you just did was any good. You can't sit here and tell me that that was a great show. All you're gonna do is lie to the people now. That show.
Did they do a press conference after?
Yes. I ain't even dared even watch it. There's no point of me watching.
I didn't watch it either. I didn't watch it either.
Point, because all they was doing was that ceremony with that stupid title.
Yeah, basically all they had on their socials after the event in question was them presenting the rings, and that was about the extent of it. It's like, oh, hey, look at this great belt that we made that's going to stay here in this exhibit that we've created in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. But as a takeaway token that you get a ring. It's just like it is in the Super Bowl. They have this great big Lombardi trophy, or in the Stanley Cup. You have this great big cup, and your team name goes on it, or whatever. But you don't get to keep it.
Right, absolutely.
But you get a fancy little ring. It's just, I don't understand why they're doing what they're doing with the whole crown jewel thing. I think it's just because they are deadheaded into a contract that they cannot escape, that they cannot get out of, thanks to Vincent Kennedy McMahon, who signed that deal and got that done. But again, Nick Khan is just as much to blame, because he's right there at the top too whenever Vince signed that deal. Now, Paul, as you know, novice fans know him as Triple H, we all know and understand fundamentally that he may not have had any choice in the matter. It really wasn't anything to do with him. He had no decision in it. But again, going back to what I said before, Vince did that deal to save his own hide. He needed the money. He needed it to save his own hide. And I think he knew that at the end of the day, I got to get paid. I got to get paid on the front end, and I got to get paid on the back end, because once I leave, they force me out. I'm going to need money to go start a competing business.
And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. That keeps him relevant at this case. You know what?
That's massive.
Go another 30 minutes,
that's massive, man.
Yeah. Hey, and that's the thing with, because now guess we about to head. You want a prediction? I'll give you one. Dominic's going to win this number one contenders match tonight on Raw. Then you got Seth Rollins, what for? Because Bronson Reed's going to take him out. Damian Priest, Judgment Day is going to take him out. And who's the other? Sheamus. Sheamus was the other. What Sheamus got to do with Gunther anymore? You got a big misser. Dominic Mysterio is going to mess around and win. He's top.
I think we're repeating it
right now. It's going to happen, man.
This is
repeating cycles, man. I don't think we're going. It is.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. We're repeating these cycles, man, and I don't think it's working out.
And this War Games match is starting to look stale. It's going to look horrible more than it's going to be exciting, because of what we just witnessed at Crown Jewel, and that's bad. And then you have to depend on Saturday night's main event on December 14th, which you have said that it's going to be a pay-per-view type event on network television. You're looking really grim going into the new year, and it's supposed to be the most exciting time, because Survivor Series, in my opinion, is the start to WrestleMania. Not the Rumble, it's Survivor Series, because you're closing out the year, getting ready for what could potentially happen at Rumble in February, which is in Indianapolis, which I'm going to be making my ticket purchase soon. But my thing is, that is where we're headed. And you got all these NXT right now. NXT is the best show on television right now for wrestling.
I don't disagree. I agree with that.
No, for real. For real. No, I agree with that 1,000%.
Hey, Bubba Ray
I
showing
definitely
up.
agree. Their momentum is big, and they got it. They got it going.
Philadelphia is going to be massive come Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like nobody running the house.
Because ain't nobody running the house.
I mean, it's how it feels.
Lights are on, but nobody's home.
I agree.
Listen, the hour is up. I want to continue, but you know, I think I'm gonna have to end it here. Hey, but see, because there's so much that needs.
Just let Obafemi come up. Bring Obafemi up.
He got to be in the Rumble though.
Bring Obafemi.
He got to win the NXT Championship first. He got to get it off a trick. Fatal 4-way.
We need something bigger.
Obafemi as NXT champion is massive. He'll be in the Rumble though, as NXT champion.
That'll be hot.
My prediction. That'll be my prediction right there.
Let's go.
Sirs, thank you for stepping in and joining in on the fray. Appreciate that. Friday, I think, is the day I'll have passed the back. Derek, welcome Wednesday if you want.
We got a lot of stuff going on Wednesday.
Okay, yes, indeed. That's for sure. All right. Friday Night Extreme jumps off Friday night. Make sure you tune in to the A-Train show again on Wednesday and Friday. When B-Hawk Live returns on Tuesday. So tune in for that. Arena STL as well. Got a lot of good things going. Derek, when the next time for you, sir, when we got you?
When I'm not doing a guest spot, when I'm not producing another show, when I'm not running another special edition, when I'm not producing another special show, then maybe you might see this beautiful face in another episode of the Derek King Show coming soon in prime time.
Prime time. All
Let's go.
All right, we added. We'll see y'all. I'll see y'all Wednesday. Pastor, I'll see you again Friday, and we'll get it back in, and hopefully we'll have something better to discuss than the massive crap that we just dealt with today. All right,
we'll see what tonight look like.
All right, this is the A-Train show right here on Fuel Sports Network, and always online at fuelsportsnetwork.com. We out of here, y'all. See y'all Wednesday.